The day I found out my husband might be into shady business, I was on my kitchen floor in our luxury mansion in Ikoyi, Lagos, where I lived with my husband Femi and our child. I met my husband Femi when I relocated to Lagos to work as a maid for one auntie, as life in the village was terrible. My mother was really sick and desperately needed hospital care. We couldn't afford the bills the hospital gave, so we had to return home, hoping and praying to God for Him to have mercy on my mother. We were already tired of waiting when reality began to set in that someone had to make the decision to leave the village to go look for money. And as the first child and daughter, the responsibility had fallen on my shoulders. Immediately I got to the big city, my work started. The family I worked for as a maid had three young children, so it was hard work day and night. My madam was a very big woman, so she did not lift a pin. I did everything. I cooked, cleaned, washed clothes, plaited our children's hair, and sometimes even hers too. I did everything a machine would, and at the end of the day, I was tired to the bones. Even with all I do, she made sure I woke up by 4 a.m. daily, even though I was only allowed to sleep late at night, sometimes 1 a.m. In her words, you can't sleep when me and my husband are still awake. And the only reason is that she wants me to bring water when she's thirsty or make a late night snack when she's hungry. I saw Shege in that house. Every day, I prayed to God that I get a better job and leave. But I had to think of my mother every time I got frustrated, as I was sending money back home every month. That was the only way she could get her medications and treatment. So I continued to endure the insult and maltreatment my madam kept raining on me. The only thing I enjoyed in that house was going to church with the family every Sunday. My madam was part of a committee, so she made sure not to miss Sunday service. At least, instead of cleaning during those times, I'll be serving and praising my God in church. I grew up in a very strong Christian home, and despite our condition, we never missed church. In fact, my father was a pastor before he died, so going to church was the best time of my week, not knowing that going to church one faithful Sunday in Lagos would change my life. As usual, this Sunday, after singing, it was time to listen to the sermon. Our head pastor announced that there would be a guest speaker, which only happens once in 3 months. So I was very excited to listen to a different mind. That was when a young, handsome man climbed the pulpit. I know I did not come to Lagos for man, but I could not help but stare at him. He was so attractive, looked clean, his beards were neatly trimmed. Everyone clapped as he settled to start his sermon. He introduced himself as Brother Femi, and his sermon was brief and angelic, talking about seeing the good in our fellow Christians. I was not even listening, as all I kept doing was looking at his face. Church service ended and it was time to leave. One of my madam's children wanted to use the restroom, so as usual, I took her as the maid that I am. It was on our way out of the restroom area that I bumped into someone. I immediately raised my head to apologize, only to see that the person I had hit was Brother Femi, the same Brother Femi who just rounded up the sermon this afternoon. I tried to apologize immediately, but words failed me. He looked at me and smiled, and then asked for my name. I told him my name is Amina, and quickly composed myself to leave. As I was about to leave, he quickly asked for my number. Ha! I thought I did not hear correctly because why would a man like Brother Femi be asking for my number? I was afraid to bring out my ugly palasa phone, so I told him I did not have a phone. He immediately brought out his card and told me to call him when I get home. I took the card and hid it so my madam would not find out. We went back to the car and we went home. I did not call Brother Femi. In fact, I did not know where the card was. I did not even understand why a girl like me, a common maid, would be talking to a neat, good looking man like Brother Femi. But one Saturday, while I was washing my clothes, I saw the card in the bucket soaked in water. I immediately dried it and wrote the number out. Maybe I will call him today. After all, he gave me his card. I thought to myself. After washing, I waited until my madam and her family had gone out and I decided to call Femi. Hello, Brother Femi. That was how I started the conversation, and he responded. We had a lengthy conversation that day, and he asked about my family, education, and age, and I told him everything about myself. I told him I was 21, and the reason why I did not go to the university is that I needed to work so I could take care of my mother's medical bills. At the end of the call, he asked if I had an account number. I said no, but I had a POS lady I used to send my family money. He asked if I could go to the pay point and I responded with a yes. Still wondering why he was asking. He told me to go there and give him a call. I hurriedly rushed to the pay point and called him. He spoke to the attendant and after 10 minutes, the attendant handed me a lot of money. When I counted it, it was 150,000 naira. I almost fainted. It was even the attendant who had called me to reality. Me, whose salary was 20,000 naira per month. How did I become the owner of 150,000 naira? I called him immediately and asked if it was a mistake. Maybe it's 15,000 naira he wanted to send. He laughed and told me it was for me. I thanked him immediately and quickly sent my family 50,000 naira so that my mother can take care of some of her bills and also get some food stuff. I called him on my way back and started to thank him again, crying because I had never handled such an amount of money in my life. After that day, we spoke every day and he continued to send me money from time to time to help my family. I did not know if he worked or even where he worked, and whenever I asked, he would say he worked online, and that was all I needed to know. I did not know much about online work, but I knew some people worked online, so I just accepted it like that. So started a relationship, even though I did not know where he lived, as I never went to see him in his house throughout this time because my madam was always around. We only saw each other when my madam sent me on errand to the big market, as I would call him to drive to our junction so he could take me there. And in the process of doing that, we'll get to spend time together. But this did not happen often. I really did not know much about him. All I knew was that Femi was a Christian brother and he does online work. Honestly, I did not question him too much because I needed the money and I needed it to keep coming. So that was how our relationship was. I did not ask much question and he did not tell me much either. One day, he called me and said he had something important to tell me and that he would like to see me. I hesitated because I did not know how to ask for permission from my madam that week as I had no day off. So I asked him if what he wanted to see me for was very important and he said yes. Ha, have I done something wrong? That was the question I asked him. But he laughed and said no, so I relaxed a bit. I told him to give me some time to see how to arrange my time so I can come outside. We met at the restaurant later that week. Femi, as usual, looked really clean and handsome, while I, of course, looked like my normal self. He ordered food and drinks for us, and after eating, I asked him why he really wanted to see me. Then his response shocked me. He said he wanted to marry me. The spoon I was using to eat dropped from my hand as I was so shocked to my bones. Marry me? How? Me like this? That is what I asked him. And he said yes, laughing. At that time, I was still 21. I still wanted to further my education, and I wasn't sure I was ready to get married. Besides, I really did not know Femi. As we did not see regularly, all we did was speak over the phone, and he would send me money. I still did not know this online work that he's doing, but I also needed to take care of my family, and at that point, it was my saving grace with plenty of the money I needed. At least, I knew my family would not suffer, and I'll also leave my madam's house for good and become a big madam myself. That was all I was thinking of at that time. I was excited, but I did not want to show my excitement, so I told him to give me some time to talk with my family. We left the restaurant and I went back to my madam's house. Immediately I got back to the house, I called my mother in the village and told him one big city boy wanted to marry me. The first question my mother asked me was, "Is he a child of God?" I said, "Yes, Mama." I met him in church while he was preaching, and that made my mother happy. It was the second question she asked me that made me wish I knew the real answer before I married him. She asked me, "What work does he do?" And I innocently replied, "Online work." My brothers who were part of the call started laughing. "Sister, which one is online work again? Make him show us way now." My mother shushed them up and told me to think about it very well before settling for him because marriage is a big commitment, and I should also ask more about his work so I am sure of exactly what he does. I said okay and thanked her, but between you and me, I did not even ask him about his work. I really did not care much because he was providing for me and my family. Also, I needed to leave my poverty life and hard work behind. He paid my bride price and we arranged for our wedding ceremony in church. We had a big wedding. Finally, I am in a better place in life. That was all I kept thinking after becoming a missus. But little did I know I was wrong. When I moved into my husband's house, I felt like a madam. He showed me around his four-bedroom luxurious duplex. He gave me one room for my belongings, even though we slept in the master bedroom together. Then one room for the guest, one room for his office. At the time, it made sense why he wasn't going out to work because he had an office for his online work. Although he warned me seriously not to enter his office when he wasn't at home, as he would not want me scattering his files. I was okay with not going into the office as that was not my business. I was just happy to be a big man's wife because I had really suffered. I did not even have to worry about how to make money because my husband had plenty money. Life was going smoothly. I was already 4 months pregnant with my child when one day my husband's friend and online work colleague Emeka came to our house to visit us. My husband took his friend to his office to work together online. I left them to go and relax and watch television. But after some minutes, I remembered that I had left them without refreshments, so I went to the kitchen to get some. And on approaching the door with a tray, as I was about to knock, I heard something shocking that changed my life. "My guy, does your wife know what you do? This one you went to marry one Smalley. Are you sure she will not find out?" Emeka said. My husband Femi laughed and responded, "Why do you think I married her? She cannot even use a computer, let alone understand what is in it. She is very naive. She's a small girl. But at least my children will have a good mother. You think all those ladies we hang out with can calm down to raise children? God, I beg oh." They both laughed. When I heard this, I couldn't believe my ears. I hurriedly went back to the kitchen with my heart beating very fast. Femi just called me naive. Ha! At least his children will have a good mother. What business am I not supposed to be aware of? As these thoughts kept ringing in my head, I started to feel dizzy, and the next thing I knew, I fainted. How will Amina find out about the shady business? And will Amina leave the marriage, or will she stay for the money? Please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so when I post the next part, you will be among the first to watch. Thank you and remain blessed.